Everyone thinks Jimmy Hopkins is the biggest troublemaker in Bullworth Academy. But every fight he picks, every rule he breaks, is part of a bigger plan. By the time the year's over, this 15-year-old will do something no adult in Bullworth ever could: unite the school. I used to think Jimmy was just another angry kid looking for trouble. Then I watched closer. Every punch he throws, it's protecting someone smaller. Every authority figure he defies, they've already failed the kids they're supposed to protect. Jimmy's mother is on husband number 5. His father vanished years ago. He's been dumped at Bullworth like unwanted baggage. But this throwaway kid is about to become the most unlikely peacemaker in gaming history. Picture walking into a new school where everyone already hates you. That's Jimmy's reality at Bullworth. Except Jimmy's carrying baggage most kids never see. His father vanished before Jimmy could even form memories of him. His mother cycles through husbands like they're seasonal wardrobes. She's on number 5 now. Each new marriage means Jimmy gets shuffled aside, treated like damaged goods that need storing somewhere out of sight. Here's what abandonment does to a kid's brain. It rewires everything. Jimmy learned early that love comes with conditions, that adults disappear when you need them most, that survival depends entirely on your own resourcefulness. Most kids who experience this level of rejection either shut down completely or lash out at everyone around them. Jimmy? He chose a third path. His abandonment trauma created something unexpected, an almost obsessive need to protect other people from experiencing what he's lived through. Watch Jimmy's body language when he encounters bullying. He doesn't casually stroll over to break up fights. His entire posture changes. His shoulders tense, his jaw sets, his hands clench into fists. When he sees a conflict, he's reliving every moment when no adult stepped in to protect him. Listen to what Jimmy actually says to bullies. "What's your problem? Picking on little kids?" There's genuine confusion in his voice, like he can't fathom why someone would choose to hurt someone weaker. Jimmy confronts Russell for the first time with words that cut deeper than any insult. "I'm sick of you picking on little kids." Those words come from a place of pain most 15-year-olds never access. Gary Smith spots this vulnerability immediately. During their first conversation, Gary probes Jimmy's abandonment wounds like he's performing surgery. "Everyone's going to leave you eventually," Gary tells him with that smug smile. "Might as well get used to it." Gary knows exactly which psychological buttons to push. He recognizes Jimmy's greatest fear, that he's fundamentally unlovable. Most kids would crumble under that kind of targeted psychological manipulation. Jimmy's response? "Yeah, well, screw you too." Simple words, but they reveal everything. If everyone leaves, if all authority figures fail, then he'll become the authority figure he desperately needed as a child. Now, what he was walking into at Bullworth, that's where things get messy. Bullworth Academy looks like a school. Walk through those halls and you'll see it's a war zone disguised as education. When Jimmy arrives, most people see 5 cliques that hate each other. Jimmy sees kids responding to the same systemic failures in different ways. The bullies operate on pure survival instinct. Russell Northrop learned that being bigger and scarier keeps people at a safe distance. "I just don't like being messed with," he says, and you can hear the exhaustion in his voice. Ernest Jones and the nerds weaponized their intelligence. "We're going to show those Neanderthals what real power looks like," Ernest declares while plotting revenge. Darby Harrington embodies inherited toxicity. Listen to how he talks about scholarship kids. "These people simply don't belong here. They lack breeding." He's been systematically programmed to believe his privilege makes him inherently superior. Johnny Vincent carries abandonment trauma similar to Jimmy's, but responded by building walls. "Everyone's always trying to screw us over," Johnny mutters. The jocks reveal how toxic masculinity poisons even seemingly successful kids. Strip away sports performance and they have no sense of self-worth. These groups aren't natural enemies. They're different responses to the same problem. Bullworth Academy is a system designed to break children down instead of building them up. The bullies punch their problems away. The nerds plot elaborate revenge fantasies. The preps lean on superiority. The greasers isolate themselves, and the jocks hide behind aggressive school spirit. Jimmy's trauma let him see through their walls like glass. He could read the problem clearly. Now came the hard part, actually fixing it. So at this point, Jimmy's not just surviving Bullworth, he's reshaping it. But how do you keep the peace in a place built on chaos? Ever had to earn respect from someone who only understood strength? That's exactly what Jimmy did with Russell. He proved himself through combat, because that's the only language Russell understood. Russell learns the difference between intimidation and respect through their first fight. Instead of trying to destroy his reputation, Jimmy gives him a different way to be powerful, as a protector instead of a predator. Russell's been big his whole life. The only way he knows how to relate to people is through intimidation. The same pattern repeats with every clique. With the nerds, Jimmy doesn't dismiss their intelligence or mock their social awkwardness. He validates their worth. "You guys are smart enough to run this place," and he tells them. "Why waste it on getting back at people? first person to treat them with genuine respect. Their defensive bitterness just melts away. Darby and the preps get a completely different approach. Jimmy doesn't try to tear down their sense of superiority, he redirects it. Darby complains about inferior people, and Jimmy fires back, "If you're so superior, prove it by helping people instead of stepping on them." Darby stays arrogant, but now he's arrogant about leadership instead of cruelty. Jimmy's unconsciously recreating the family structure he never had. Each clique becomes a sibling group. He positions himself as the protective older brother. He's building the support system that was never there for him. Throughout the game, you hear someone who's desperately trying to create stability in an unstable world. "Why can't everyone just get along?" he asks, and people laugh at him for being naive. He's expressing his deepest psychological need. He's spent his whole life in chaos. He's determined to create the peace he never experienced. Jimmy carries this burden while dealing with massive psychological wounds that no one is helping him process. He's parenting these other kids while still being a child himself. He's creating the family he never had while still grieving the one he lost. Jimmy's methods worked too well. Someone was watching. Gary's about to show Jimmy what real psychological warfare looks like. Darby and the preps present Jimmy's biggest challenge because their toxicity comes from privilege, not trauma. Jimmy demonstrates what real power looks like. He shows Darby that true superiority comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. Johnny Vincent and the Greasers are Jimmy's mirror image. Kids who've been abandoned and formed their own family. Jimmy wins Johnny over by proving his loyalty through action, not words. The jocks are perhaps the most tragic because their identity is built on something temporary. Jimmy shows them that their real value doesn't come from being stronger or faster than others. It comes from using that strength to protect people who can't protect themselves. Success brings attention from someone who's been watching from the shadows. Someone who sees Jimmy's work not as healing, but as a threat to destroy. Gary Smith, Jimmy's dark reflection. What he could have become if he'd chosen cynicism over hope. Gary experienced similar abandonment and trauma. Instead of becoming a protector, Gary became a manipulator. Jimmy sees potential in others while Gary spots weaknesses to exploit. Gary has the same intelligence as Jimmy, just twisted toward creating chaos instead of peace. Gary's betrayal cuts deeper than any physical wound because he understood Jimmy completely. He saw the abandonment issues, the desperate need for belonging, the fear of being alone. Gary used that intimate knowledge as a weapon. Listen to Gary's final speech on the school roof. "I'm the only one who gets you, Jimmy. Everyone else, they'll leave eventually." Even while trying to destroy everything Jimmy built, Gary's still probing that same psychological wound, still trying to convince Jimmy that isolation is safer than connection. Jimmy and Gary's final battle goes deeper than just stopping one crazy kid. Gary represents everything Jimmy could have become. The idea that trauma gives you the right to hurt others. Gary embodies everything Jimmy rejected. When the world hurts you, Gary believes you have the right to hurt others back. When Jimmy finally defeats Gary, he's not just saving Bullworth Academy. He's proving that broken kids can choose to heal instead of breaking others. "You're wrong, Gary," Jimmy says as Gary falls. People don't always leave. Sometimes they stay. Sometimes they choose to fight for each other. Those words represent Jimmy's ultimate victory, not over Gary, but over his own demons. Jimmy's united every clique at Bullworth Academy. He's turned enemies into allies, chaos into order. Will any of it survive after he graduates? Bullworth Academy transforms completely by graduation day. Students who were mortal enemies are now friends. Kids who used to live in fear can walk the halls safely. The school actually functions like a school instead of a battleground. He changed what these kids think is possible. He showed them that they don't have to be defined by their worst impulses. That trauma doesn't have to create more trauma. That broken systems can be healed by people who refuse to accept that things have to stay broken. Russell discovers he can be strong without being cruel. The nerds realize they can be smart without being vindictive. The preps understand privilege can be used responsibly. The greasers find that rebellion can have a purpose. The jocks finally see what being a hero really means. Jimmy didn't just unite Bullworth for 1 year. He gave these kids the tools to build better communities for the rest of their lives. Looking back, Jimmy Hopkins might be Rockstar's most heroic protagonist. He fights, he breaks rules, he causes plenty of trouble, yet he fundamentally believes that people can be better than they are. That broken kids deserve a chance to heal. Jimmy's story resonates because we've all felt abandoned by systems that should protect us. He proves that sometimes the person everyone dismisses as a troublemaker is actually the one trying to solve the real problems. In a medium full of anti-heroes and morally ambiguous characters, Jimmy stands out as someone who genuinely tries to make the world around him better. He takes a broken system and fixes it not through violence or manipulation, but through understanding and compassion. That 15-year-old outcast didn't just survive Bullworth Academy, he saved it. The kids who get written off, who get shuffled from school to school, who carry wounds that adults prefer to ignore, they're not broken beyond repair. Sometimes they're exactly what broken systems need. The outcast can become the healer. The kid nobody believes in can become the leader everyone needed. And maybe like Jimmy, we all have the power to turn our scars into something that heals the people around us. Jimmy Hopkins proved the kid they throw away might be the one who saves everyone.